explain something to me about Italians and their like connection with food. Why is it seems so offensive to make suggestions about food that don't work with what they believe is the right way to consume it?
You know what? I actually don't have an answer for you. I think they're in that peninsula.
But that's a common thing, right? Like, if you were like, oh, what about pesto and having a Diet Coke? They'd be like, oh, you can't have a Diet Coke. And I'm trying to understand why it's so ridiculous.
Every other country in Europe has a bordering country to tell them you're acting ridiculous. But the Italians are in a peninsula and
the
mountains on top.
So nobody's ever said you guys are acting weird.
Right. So we're just a weird group of people who became upset. Look, we never colonized. I mean, ancient Rome, but whatever. It's like we never colonized.
I mean, you colonized the world.
Well, with food.
And war.
What war?
The Roman Empire.
No, that's what I'm saying. Besides the Roman, like besides 2,000 years ago, like we're not like France that's colonized or Spain.
Oh, I got you. Right? You haven't gone to Africa. You haven't gone to
we tried in Ethiopia, and they were.
Well, you did it first, and everybody copied you.
What?
You guys did it first, and everybody copied you.
That's true. We did set the standard.
You did. That's what I always say. Like Paris is a knockoff of Rome. If you go to Rome, it is a knockoff.
The French are so mad at me.
Bro, wait, go. Why? Have you said this before?
No. Well, I kind of, yeah. I
Good.
mean,
People should know.
I've said some disparaging.
I like Paris.
I love Paris.
And then I went to Rome, and I was like, why do I want this?
Yeah.
Paris is the Cheesecake Factory of city. Listen, it's nice.
Wow.
It's nice if you grew up in Hoboken. It's impressive.
Wow.
But once you go to Rome, you can't enjoy it.
I know. It's hard. It is hard. But I think the Italians,
No, you were about to say something. They're upset at you. The French are upset at you. The Parisians.
Oh, I did a video about ordering a cheeseburger in France, and it now is, I think, at 15 million views.
Wow.
People are first of all, as if no one reads the comments. That's my favorite thing about comments. Is every comment is the exact same.
Yeah.
But in my joke about saying how the French are not accepting of other people, no matter how hard you try, in the comments they are not accepting of you. Like they're just so French about it. That's what my joke was like. In Italy, like if you try and speak Italian, they're so nice to you.
They appreciate it a little bit.
Yeah, and the French, it's like you could. I'm like, I'm sorry, I wasn't born here. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, go back in time and get born here and grow up here so I can order this croissant without you yelling at me? Like, it's insane.
Yeah, they do. Such a fucking attitude.
They really do. Although everyone in France at the Kid Paris or Kid Super Show was great.
I will say this: the French kick Italians' asses in dessert.
They kick everyone's ass in dessert.
They have the best dessert.
Yes.
And I think it's because they're using butter and the Italians are using oil.
Yeah.
And they really know how to cook with the butter, where you guys aren't really using the butter. So the
Northern
sweet
Italy
stuff.
cooks with butter.
Oh,
Southern
near
Italy
the France
cooks
part.
more.
That's a little weird. Maybe you took some ideas from over there, over the mountain. It's kind of strange. Yeah, no one tells us what to do, except for when we make good desserts.
Okay, the most popular food in the world is pizza, so...
Yes. Where's your fucking pizza?
Yeah, where's your pizza?
And bread. They kill it in bread.
They kill it in
desserts.
bread and dessert. And
Nobody
the Italians
touches that.
kill it with fashion, cars, opera, food, pretty much everything.
Listen, we're not competing here.
I am.
We're not competing. Well, no, because there's no competition. We're not competing. We're just pointing some things out. But we have to give credit where credit
But
is
come
due.
see me in Paris in October. I'm doing 4 shows.
Throwing baguettes at
I know, right? I'm like Trump in Puerto Rico.
The paper towels.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
Oh, he's so insane.
Puerto Rico.
But what did he do that made you bust out laughing, though? Be honest.
What?
Trump.
Oh, you know what? Well, I will say I will defend Trump on. I was trying to make this a joke, but it's too late now because the special's already out. But I want to be like, he's an asshole and I hate him, but leave him alone on the hair. That's not him. I do sympathize.
Because there was a moment where you were trumping it up a little before.
Girl, I was desperate. Yeah, I had a sculpture on my head that Michelangelo would blush at. Like it was like I couldn't believe it was getting so much harder to try and cover it up.
Yeah.
And now I have a lot of hair.
Yeah. A beret would have been nice, Maybe.
The Italians don't really have hats down.
Yeah, no, the hat game is atrocious.
Because they don't go bald like the French, probably.
Some of them.
He's Mexican.
Okay.
Blame that on the Mexicans.
Yeah, I know. But I bet. Do you want me to seriously answer a question about that? I do think Italians I don't know why, but I do know like they have really specific rules about like this kind of pasta should be made with this kind of sauce, and you should, you know what it is? They really care about their food in the sense that like you go to any other country and it's like you're just eating food and they don't know where it comes from. They don't know where the ingredients
There's a
come from.
religiosity with the food.
Yeah, the Italians are like, well, this milk is from this cow.
Yeah.
I know the cow.
The Japanese are kind of like this too.
Japanese and Italian culture are wildly similar.
Especially,
it's sort of like island life. I don't know.
I think it's like when, I don't know, I think when God is reflected in whatever you're working on, then you're going to hold it up to that standard. And I don't know, for Italians, it's always seemed to me that like the food is a manifestation of what it is to be them. So you have to treat it at the highest level.
Yeah.
So it's like, and they've dedicated themselves to this for so long, and it's become like, you know, the exact same thing as the identity. So of course they would know that the texture of chicken and the texture of pasta does not go together. Where we would just taste some sauce and we need some protein, we go, yeah, throw it in there. They'd be like, no, you're gonna get your protein.
Yeah.
But there's a protein that works better for this.
Well, Katie Parla, who's a great Italian author, she told me that Italians are really obsessed with digestion, healthy digestion. So it's like you'll have...
See, that's levels, bro.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, we're not even thinking about...
But they're not really doing anything else.
Well, let's talk about that actually. I want to talk about that after, because that's something that Italians will even criticize about themselves.
What?
About being a country that is lost in the past and not creating new things and not like dominating culture for thousands of years. And now most people go there to view it as a museum.
Yeah.
And there's Italians that are like, no, let's keep creating. Let's make new things. Like, we have this legacy of creating things that the world loves. Like, why have we stopped doing this?
A great comedian named Francesco Di Carlo, who's moving to America soon. He's like the most famous Italian comedian. He's making comedy How We Do in New York in Italy.
Oh, wow.
And he's unbelievable comic. He and I had this whole conversation because I was saying exactly what you're saying. Like, I love coming to Italy, and I feel like, you know, it feels like tradition and peaceful and da-da-da-da, like the chaos of New York is gone. And he goes, yes, it is beautiful, but the problem is we're stuck in the past. Yeah. So he's like, me wanting to do comedy the way that you guys do it is almost impossible because people refuse to budge from their past.
And when you have a past that is so old, right? When you have thousands of years of wisdom that turns into not only religion, but turns into pasta, it turns into everything. It's like, you can make the argument like, we've perfected it, we figured it out. And then going against that is almost like insulting or stupid. You're like, but in order to create new things that we like, we have to go against the grain. In America, it's kind of easy, right? We're here for 400 years. If we do, what is it? What are those? A gastro pub restaurant. It's like where we flip a burger and make it a little interesting. We're welcoming of it. We're not going, how dare you disgrace a hamburger? How dare you disgrace a hot dog? You know what I'm saying?
We do that every day. That means you're American.
Exactly. But in Italy, you have 4,000 years of making a fucking pasta in a specific way.
Italians, Fran Lebowitz said this, Italians have a culture. Americans don't, we don't have a culture.
Well, we're developing it. We're developing it.
Our culture is an idea.
We're young still.
Right.
It takes thousands of years.
Right.
And that's why, I don't know, that's why I always look at Europeans and they have such an interesting relationship where like race and culture intersect, because I think that there's a lot of times where there is racism that is masked oftentimes as a cultural elitism.
Yes, very much so.
You know, and this is all throughout Europe. Whereas, like, if there was a kid adopted by a French family or adopted by an Italian family and raised Italian and raised French, they might be more accepted and still deal with like racial shit, but they might be more accepted because they're continuing that identity.
Right.
Whereas in America, we're still figuring out what it is to be us. So all we got is race to be like, you're bad, you're good, or whatever.